right, guys, welcome along to a brand new Let's Talk BHFC podcast. I hope you guys are good. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's very exciting to say this, but this Saturday, football is back. But before we get into that, I'm joined by Charlie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, mate. I'm really looking forward to football being back. You good?
I'm very good, yes, and same. And also joined by ex-Albion defender Adam Alab. How are you doing?
Afternoon, guys. I'm all good. Thanks. How are you?
All good, all good. So we're going to look at the Brighton versus Arsenal match preview. But before we get into that, Adam, I have a question for you because it's just been announced today that the Norwich player who got tested positive at the weekend has had another test since and is now tested negative. I'm just going to go off topic a bit, but I want to get your opinions on this as a player. Would you be a bit concerned if you're in this situation at the moment, you're about to, a few days away from playing the first game, all these tests are coming back negative, but there's been tests which are positive, but they're negative, the inaccuracy, would that make you a bit nervous?
I'm not sure. I think what I'd be nervous about is having to isolate for a week and miss the training and not be ready to play because they've had a long break. They've had maybe 3 weeks training, and if you're missing a week of that training, you're in effect having 2 weeks training to go back into playing competitive action, which is unrealistic. Which basically, if he's been tested positive and has to isolate for a week, what's he doing in that week? Is he going to be ready to play? The likelihood is not. So it's a killer for the player, whoever it is. But would I be concerned about the virus developing into something serious? I think the majority of players, if they catch it, are going to survive because they're all usually fit young athletes that they're not high risk. The chances of them passing it on is a risk. So obviously, it's important that they isolate and take it seriously.
Yeah, no, valid point. I was just curious to see what it'd be like from a player's point of view, whether it's something you'd be a bit concerned about. Obviously your teammates have been tested positive, but now negative. Do you actually feel comfortable, them being around? It's just quite an interesting point I thought I'd touch on. But let's get into talking about what we really want to talk about, shall we? Brighton versus Arsenal, back at the Amex, 3:00 this Saturday. Charlie, from a scale of 0 to 100, how excited are you?
110. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, very good.
I'm also very nervous, though. It's nervous excitement because we know what the stakes are. That relegation is still a thing in this Premier League season. We're only 2 points above the relegation zone, and it's quite terrifying as well. Playing against Arsenal the first game back, games against City, United, Leicester coming up, Liverpool as well, who are obviously top of the table. It is quite terrifying, but to be honest, I can't contain my excitement. I can't wait.
We know that Brighton played a behind closed doors. Obviously, it's all going to be behind closed doors, but they played a friendly at the Amex on Saturday. It was Brighton versus Brighton. I believe one of the teams won. So Brighton have actually won a game this year, which is exciting.
Yes.
Adam, leading up to this week's game against Arsenal, how will the players be getting mentally ready for this? Obviously, they've been out for a long period of time, haven't played. What would you be doing in this situation, getting yourself mentally prepared for it? Obviously, against a big club like Arsenal.
Obviously, you've got to try and replicate your routine in terms of your team structure on a Thursday and Friday, the work in the elections on a Monday and Tuesday. It's very difficult. They haven't had enough time to prepare, ideally, but then I suppose every club's in the same boat. Mentally, you just got to put yourself in a frame of mind, I think, where you've got no excuses. And obviously go out there and be prepared to put yourself, through help, I suppose, because it's not going to be that pleasant with such little training in terms of on the lungs. It's going to be a tough one because the boys will be obviously fit, but there's a difference between being fit and match fit. So it's going to be the first few games are going to be very interesting. Not only from the crowd and the fact that they lose the energy from the crowd, they're also going to be a little bit undercooked, and that's normal. But so the standard might be a little bit off. The pace of the game might be a little bit off. It's a little bit warmer than what they're used to, I suppose. It'd be interesting, but who adapts best will be the ones that prosper.
Hopefully Brighton. Hopefully that is Brighton. We're filming this before Arsenal play their game tomorrow night. So at this point in time, we don't know what the score is between Arsenal and Man City and what we're going to go into. But what we do know is Arsenal are a very good side. We do all right against Arsenal, don't we, Charlie? But this is completely different circumstances. It's quite even playing fields, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously we beat them earlier in the season at the Emirates. Neil Maupay made my mate, who's an Arsenal fan, walk out the Emirates 15 minutes early, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But it's a completely different scenario now. Behind closed doors, no fans around, and obviously the stakes are a lot higher now. It's a lot later in the season. Arsenal, I think, are in 9th place, but they're only 5 points off Man United in 5th, which I think is now the Champions League spots with the whole City financial fair play and Champions League ban. So they've got a lot to play for. Obviously, we got to play for our survival. So the stakes are high. And as Adam says, the quality of football isn't going to be as high as normal. It's going to be a test of fitness and a test of character as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they do. I think the good thing for us is the fact that Arsenal are playing City before they're playing us. City are obviously a fantastic side. They haven't been that good this season compared to last, but they're still second in the Premier League, and they've got a fantastic squad of a lot of depth, and it's also at the Etihad. Aguero always seems to score against Arsenal. It's going to be a tough game for them, and they're probably going to be quite worn out heading into this game against us. It'd be interesting to see if they prioritise Man City or if they prioritise us as more of a winnable game. I think that'll be quite interesting to see. But we'll be playing against them, and they'll probably be a bit more tired than obviously we will be, having played 3 days earlier. So I think that's an advantage for us. But I think it all comes down to character on Saturday.
It's interesting. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and obviously, Mikel Arteta was one of the people who tested positive for coronavirus at the time, which meant our game was postponed because we were actually going ahead, wasn't it, on the Saturday? So it's Saturday or Friday evening, one or the other. And then going into that, obviously the game got done, the football season got stopped. But Mikel Arteta, he's done a great job at Arsenal since he's come in, hasn't he, Adam?
He's done a good job, I think, and the fruits are yet to really be to be eaten, I suppose. You know what I mean? It's like you can see the performances have improved. The intensity of their pressing and their ball retention's improved. You can see that, but they've drawn too many games. But it takes time. I think hopefully that won't be against us. But I look at their fixtures, Arsenal's, and I think that they've got a good run to the end of the season. And I think if having had the 3 weeks with him, he can implement his philosophy even further, which should enable Arsenal to finish strongly. Hopefully, they'll be suffering with a little bit of fatigue when they come down to Brighton after the Man City game, because 2 games in 3 days is tough, but 2 games in 3 days after 3 weeks training, after 10 weeks off, is going to be very tough. So we'll see.
Charlie, who would you say is Arsenal's biggest threats and the ones Brighton's need to watch out for on Saturday?
Probably their top scorer, Aubameyang. I think he's a top scorer in the whole league. He's such a technical player. We saw him in the Amex last season, absolutely tear us apart. He's probably one of the best players I've seen at the Amex. It's just pure ability. He's such a powerful player, so quick. And I know he's aging now, about 31 years old, but he's still a fantastic player for Arsenal. His future's kind of in doubt. I think he's going to be one of either Arsenal to give him a new, renewed and better contract, or he's going to be trying to impress clubs elsewhere, because it's all up in the air with Aubameyang at the moment. So I think he's going to be doing the best he can. 1, to win the Golden Boot, and 2, to impress whatever clubs might want to give him a bumper contract in the summer. I think he's a big threat. Obviously got Lacazette as well, his counterpart up front. They work quite well together. Maybe someone like Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, the 2 youngsters as well. They seem pretty quick up against us. So it's quite a terrifying prospect playing Arsenal. They've got some fantastic players, but if I had to pick one threat, it would be Aubameyang.
We've also got to remember Pepe. I mean, another one who was coming into his prime before the season got stopped. You started seeing the best out of him. So again, he's a real threat. Adam, looking at our head-to-head stats, currently we've played Arsenal 20 times overall. We've won 4, drawn 4, and lost 12. How would you fancy our chances going into this game?
Those stats are kind of, you take with a pinch of salt. You can't necessarily predict in a normal season, never mind with this season. Do you know what I mean? Never mind what's going to happen now. So those stats is kind of high in the sky, you know. But you'd obviously say Arsenal are favourites. They're a bigger club. They're higher in the league, but Brighton are at home, and Brighton have caused upsets before, you know, like they did at the Emirates. So it's going to be a 50-50 game. In fact, I'd probably put it 60-40 in Brighton's favour due to the fact that Arsenal play 3 days before.
Well, we have got fans there, haven't we? Cardboard cutouts, you know, so we've got that advantage on Saturday. So we're well ahead. Let's looking at Brighton. We know that we have a pretty much fully fit squad. We know that Izquierdo isn't available, but also Alzate could be a doubt as well, simply because he was meant to have a procedure at the end of the season. It hasn't happened. It's been delayed. So he's someone who we're kind of, you know, just watching and, you know, evaluating daily to see whether he'll be available. But on a whole, we've got a fully fit squad. Charlie, that's quite positive going into this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously gutting that Alzate, who I know he hasn't featured that much in the second half of the season for us, but he's a fantastic, versatile young player. You want to be able to get him involved if possible. But yeah, as I've heard, you have to kind of pick and choose when he can play because of the operation he's got to have. But having a fully fit squad gives us a lot of options. Up against Arsenal, as we've been saying, they're going to be tired after their game against City. Having a fully fit squad, Potter can pick and choose whoever he wants to play against them. And we have a lot of pace up front. We've got obviously Mopé, Jahanbash, Trossard, Mark. All of them are going to be fit for this. It'll be quite interesting to see what attackers he goes for. What would you guys go for in terms of your attacking, like 3 or 4? Because we've been playing kind of a attacking midfielder, 2 wingers and a striker in the second half of the season. It'd be interesting to know who you guys would go for. Matt, who would you go for?
Hang on, Charlie. Well, one thing, okay, I'm the one who asked the questions on here, not you, okay?
Yeah.
I played the Uno reverse card. You're answering.
You throw me off. Well, I sent in the group chat the other day what my starting lineup would be. I'd always have Murray up top, linking up with Morpay, and I'd have the wingers of Moy and Jahanbash, just because Jahanbash, whenever he comes on, he looks like he's starting to offer more and more each game. So I want to see that. Moy is just great on the ball. You know, he can deliver those balls well. So for me, that's been my attacking formation going forward. Adam?
I'd say Glenn has to play. I think that he's a presence in the box. If you play with 2 wide men, it gives you the option to be able to cross the ball for his aerial dominance. He holds the ball up well. He's good with his back to goal. Very intelligent with his movement. I would to pick 2 wingers. I'm a big fan of Aaron Moore. I think he's a good player, but I wouldn't say he's a winger. I'd say he's more of a centre midfield player, personally. But then, if you're going to play Glenn up front, I think you're going to need wingers to potentially beat the fullback and get balls in the box. You know, so I'll leave the wingers down to you. But I'd definitely choose. I'd play Glenn. Whether you play Mopé off him or whether you play Glenn on his own, I don't know. But Glenn has to play for me.
Charlie?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of thought Mopé might be a good option, but he's been a little bit inconsistent with his finishing. You know, with Glenn Murray, he's going to finish off his chances if he gets them. And with the players we've got, the fully fit options we've got, great deliveries into the box with Trossard, March, Jahanbash, the likes. Pascal Gross as well. I think that could be an interesting option. We've seen him go out wide recently. And our new signing, Alexis McAllister, he's fully fit. He's raring to go. I saw, 20 minutes of him away at Wolves in the last game we played, and he took a couple of free kicks and corners, and he looked fantastic. His delivery was honestly on another level. So to see him after he's been in training with the guys and kind of mix them a bit more, to have him made in the field and crossing the balls into Glenn Murray on corners and from long free kicks would be quite interesting. And maybe have one of Aaron Moy or Pascal Gross on the wing as well. They can kind of intertwine. And then I'd have to go for Trossard. He's been so dangerous this season. And I think we just need to have him in there to beat the defender, as Adam says, and get the ball into the box to Glenn Murray.
I wonder if we're going to be having this discussion about Trossard being an impact sub, or is he a starter once the season back gets up and running. When you look at our top goal scorers, obviously Morpay leads away with 8. After that is Trossard with 3, Webster with 3, and Connolly with 2. I mean, we haven't scored loads of goals this season. We're relying heavily on Morpay to score those. Adam, should we be concerned by that stats?
Yeah. Yeah, completely. That's where it's Brighton's downfall. They don't score enough goals. It's not rocket science. You can see. I think the style of play has changed. They play some great football in the middle 2/3, their own third and the middle third. They don't always progress that into the final third and convert that into chances. So the strike is not necessarily the striker's fault. I think that it's a collective. It's a problem. It's a team problem. But I think Muzzer's proven record and how he holds the ball up. I think Muzzer has to play up front. I know he's old or older, but I think he's the best option for Brighton going forward. Personally, I always think there's a goal threat when he's on the pitch.
No, I agree. I'm a big fan of Neil Maupay and Glenn Murray up top. Charlie, this is a question which, going into it, I know we've touched on the strikers, but who would be your starting right back in this? Because there's a lot of question marks. Obviously, we've got Scalotto, we've got Lamptey, Montoya. Who would be your starting right back this Saturday?
Well, I've been thinking about this because I believe his only Premier League appearance, Lamptey, was against Arsenal for Chelsea. And I was watching that on the telly with my dad, and we both looked at each other and we were like, this guy could play for England one day. He looks really good. And it's obviously a very small sample size, one game against Arsenal. I don't even think he played the whole game, but he did look very good. So why not play him against Arsenal again? He did well the first time, so why not give him another shot? He's got pace. You said that he looked really good in the game behind closed doors. I don't see a problem with playing him. Why not give him a chance? I mean, Montoya has been very good this season at times. He's also made a few mistakes here and there. It's, again, that inconsistency. I'd like to see Lamptey get a chance. He's got that pace in the right-back position. I'd love to say Scalotto, but I think he does kind of fall down the pecking order. After signing Lamptey, I'm not sure if Scalotto is really going to be at the forefront of Graham Potter's plans anymore in that right-back position. So, yeah, I'd like to see the young man in Lamptey get a chance.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, you did look good. Finally, we'll touch on just the centre-back partnership, because this is a question which we've been discussing on the page and we discuss often. Adam, who would be your centre-back partnership? Obviously, it'd be Lewis Dunk, but would you go Webster or Duffy or Byrne, or who would you go for?
Dunk or one other, but then obviously it depends on what system they play. If they play...
You can't pick yourself. You can't pick yourself.
It depends on what system they play. Obviously, if they play three, I know Dan Burn does a great job at left wing back, but I still see him as a centre half. You know, and not saying he hasn't done a good job from what I've seen. I only watched the highlights. I haven't been to the games because obviously I've been playing this year. But I think he's more of a centre half, so you may be inclined to pick Burn and Dunk, but Dunk prefers to play on the left if he's playing in a two. So then you'd maybe go Webster and Dunk. Obviously, Duffy's, is unbelievable what he does. Attacks the ball very well in both boxes. He's very, very good, but for some reason he's fallen down the pecking order under the new boss, So but one thing is for sure, they've got four good centre halves, four top centre halves, so they're well covered in that area.
No, I agree. Finish with you, Charlie. Who would be your centre back partnership this Saturday?
Dunk, obviously, and I think Potter will go for Webster, but I want to see Duffy in there again. I've said this on previous podcasts. I want to have those two again. I know it's fallen down the pecking order. There must be a reason for that, but you want someone to be battling in there for you. And against a big side in Arsenal, you want someone who will attack the ball in both boxes, Adam says. And as I keep saying, he will head a brick for the team. It's my favourite saying with Shane Duffy. I think the two of them have been so good over the years together. And at a time where we're only 2 points above the relegation zone, we're desperate for some points. I think you just got to go for them. Webster has not exactly been Mr. Reliable this season. He's given the ball away on way too many occasions. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a fantastic player on his day, but I want to have a bit of solidity, and I want to have Shane Duffy and Lewis Dunk alongside one another again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Score predictions, we'll end on this. I know I've said we ended it, but score predictions. Adam, what are you going for?
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, 1-1 draw. Charlie?
Okay, the gut feeling is a 1-1 draw, but, you know, you got to go with your heart, haven't you? And if you think about it as well, they are going to be a bit weaker and a bit more tired coming into it. So you got to go for 2-1 Albion, really, haven't you?
I'm going to go big, okay? You know, on this channel, I always go big. 7-0. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go for, I'm going to go 3-2 Brighton. I think there's going to be
Good
goals.
one for the fans, that. Good one for the fans. That'd be a nice one to kick it off, huh?
The cardboard cutouts will go mental. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Absolute limbs in the East Upper.
Exactly. Yeah, I hope they got stewards up there. So yeah, guys, I'm going to end the podcast here. Adam, thank you very much for joining me today. Charlie, thank you again. Football is back. Football is back, and it's been a long time, but I am buzzing. I hope you guys are too. So remember, you can check us out on Spotify and iTunes. Just type in Let's Talk BHAFC. If you're watching on YouTube, hello to you. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. But yeah, football is back. Thank you again for watching and listening, and see you next time for a brand new podcast. Bye-bye.
See ya.